Hey, everybody. Good evening. It is Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 at 6:33 p.m. And I'm calling to order a meeting of the advisory committee. Have a light agenda. We're just going to run through the draft slides. So this will be for both next Monday's pre-annual town meeting and then May 3rd's annual town meeting. And then we have a one transfer request to vote on. So I can share my screen, but hopefully you all have also had a chance to kind of look at the slide deck. So for those of you who are newer, they do try to keep the presentation moving pretty quickly. So we really just hit the highlights of the operating budget really. And then because we vote individually as a town on each of the capital articles, I don't spend a ton of time talking about them. I guess actually this is also a good time to say that in terms of speaking at annual town meeting, anybody on advisory, we can have a microphone and make comments about different articles. I think for the most part, all of our votes this year were unanimous, but in some years, there have been split votes. And so people have asked about like why that was the case. So anyway, let me know if there's anything you would like to talk about that's not in this presentation, especially when we get to the articles. But
Brian, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What are the expectations for us at town meeting in terms of attendance and what we do, and especially this year, and how the whole thing's going to run?
Yeah. So my understanding is that the structure of town meeting will mirror last year's, which took place in June under pandemic conditions, where the advisory committee was physically present, but we were socially distanced and with masks. I believe we will be in the auditorium at the high school along with the selectmen. And then there'll be a limited number of people who could also be in that room. And then there'll be overflow in the cafeteria. And then there'll also be an outside. So there's basically going to be 3 different areas. And it'll be broadcast live to the folks that are outside and in the cafeteria as well. And yeah, so everybody on advisory is expected to go. And usually we show up like between 30 and 15 minutes early. I would say probably 20 and 15 minutes early is fine this year.
Okay, great. So we'll all get to meet each other in person.
Yeah.
Town meeting.
Bill, did you have any questions about that?
I have a question about the meeting minutes tonight. Do I need to record the contents of the slide deck or just our comments regarding the slide deck?
Just comments. And in fact, it can be very, like, if we don't make any changes, it can just be like we reviewed and approved.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, this just gives the overall snapshot of the operating budget for the town. The next slide, what I call total budgeted expenditures, but basically that includes operating and capital items, things that are listed separately as warrant articles. So that overall is increasing 1.05%. This is a snapshot of the different sources of revenue. This is always kind of I don't love the way that I have to structure this slide because it shows like a negative revenue, but the fact is we do have to set aside that $160,000. So it does appear as like a negative source of revenue. And this is for the whole budget for FY22. This is sort of a category breakdown of total expenditures. So just so that you understand, the salary and wages line, that actually is baked into the budget the spreadsheet that we're always looking at together. So that number is all in there. I just had to kind of extract it a little bit differently. Any questions about this one? I mean, I think it should be pretty straightforward.
So Brian, you had to go through and do that by hand. You pulled out the salary and wages, and then you pulled out other operating expenses from all of the departments.
So salary and wages was already pulled out by Nanotchka. It's just something that it's part of the spreadsheet. The other operating line I had to do manually because I have to back out the education because anyway, but it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
This just gives the visual of our operating budget.
It took me a minute to figure out what wasn't in the budget, in the operating budget that was in the previous slide. I figured it out, but you might want to call that out somewhere.
You mean just like the capital articles?
Yeah,
and
like
stuff
capital, I think it was capital appropriations and other were not in the pie. And as a result, the very first thing on this list is 62.9 on this page and
Yep.
65 something on the next page. And of course I had to go figure it out, but you might.
I'll say that. I'll explain that because what we're looking at here is only operating expenditures.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good point. This again just really illustrates operating budget changes from year to year. The list of our capital items. Yeah, this was in our report, so I'm going to just mention that briefly. And then thanks, Craig, for the edit. He caught that I had the wrong number here.
I wonder if that was wrong last year too, since it was fiscal year 20 when I saw it.
I don't even know if we used this slide last year.
Okay.
Because last year we had I think we had 2 slides because we were, the whole pandemic thing.
It wasn't as complex as it turns out this year.
Yeah. And then I was mentioning before we actually officially started that I did email the assessors very late. That was my fault, to ask whether they can give us the information to fill in the FY22 column. So if I get it, I'll include this slide, and if not, we can always just verbally announce it. And then, I just want to emphasize it is always an estimate because they don't finalize the tax rate until December. And then here, I mean, I don't know, I just wanted to kind of end with a few statements of general policy. I don't know how people feel about the stuff that's in there.
Brian, this is Ann. I think this is important because it's a context. This is not easy. And we have some significant constraints.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the percentage of our budget that goes to town services is minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're never going to see the kind of commercial development people dream of.
Right. So is everybody generally comfortable with these slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Great.
Brian, are you looking for any kind of response or feedback or discussion on the last bullet point here?
I would, yeah, sure.
I mean, no, sorry, not from us. When you present this to the town, are you looking for a reaction, or are you just going to kind of throw it out there?
I just want to throw it out there just to reiterate publicly that we are committed to strong lines of communication and information sharing. I mean, I think it's.
Brian?
Yep.
I would take that sentence and make it a 4th bullet. It's 2 different things.
But with respect to education specifically.
Yeah, we're committed to establishing strong lines. I mean, it works for everything, including the departments, but also the school.
Yeah.
I would make it separate, and you could speak to it that we need to strengthen our relationship with the schools, but we are also committed to establishing those lines of communications for all our departments.
I think that's a fair point.
Because that's a paragraph. You need a sentence. And I think you can point to that distinction.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's better. And it otherwise it just makes the schools a total topic of this, and it's not. Although it is a significant challenge, it is not the only thing we need to worry about.
So I agree with the change, although now bullet 3, I think really stands out as you're kind of bringing up an issue here, but then we're just moving on from it.
The other only editorial, and I don't know you guys how you think about this, but on that third bullet, we must have a long-term strategy.
Yeah, what do other folks think? Bob, I wasn't sure whether you fully fleshed out your thought here. Did you think we should include it or not even go there?
I guess I think you should just be prepared for someone to pipe up with, well, you know, what is the long-term strategy? Or you know,
We don't have one, it's the problem.
Yeah.
And we don't have a cooperative partner to help us with that, particularly one that eats up a large percentage of our budget.
Yeah. And someone may ask, what are the substantial school-related capital projects that we're talking about?
What about shared strategy? Because I think kind of what I'm getting at, and I think what we are all getting at, is that there has been a bit of a break between the town and the district, and decisions are sort of siloed over.
I wouldn't say shared. That is implicit. I would go back to the term that we had, because it isn't not, we don't have it for lack of trying. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're not getting data from the schools, and we're not getting in a format that we can work with. Am I nuts?
No.
I feel like we do have strong lines of communication with all other departments except for the school.
Right. But I wouldn't throw mud just at the school. You know what I mean? Just get their backup. No, whatever you think, guys. It's just one of those things where.
How about we must develop a long-term strategy, something a little bit more forceful.
Yes, I like it. I like that better. And of course, we can't do that without the schools. Can I ask a question that's sort of on topic but off topic, but I've been thinking about it today? Whatever happened to the money we gave them for the feasibility study?
So I believe that the latest news is that MSBA has accepted the latest submission from the school building committee, and so that money will be spent. Like it's
Okay.
it's
I
all.
just wonder, because I haven't heard a peep about it.
Yeah, no, because what happens is I think it has to be authorized way in advance, sort of like we're able to authorize the borrowing of the fire truck, even though we won't be spending money
Okay.
until.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I was just wondering.
All right. So can I assume that we're good to go now with these? Okay.
Looks good.
Good job, Brian.
Thanks. All right. And then very quickly. Don't worry, I didn't sign anything yet. I just like to pre-fill information so it's easier for me. All right, so the amount requested is the $7,714.63. Basically, what this would do is leave a $3,000 balance in the legal line for future expenses. I'm not going to be surprised if we see another transfer even before July 1, but I think it makes sense to approve this amount now.
I move we approve that amount now.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right. I'll do a roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
and I am a yes as well. Okay. Great. Anything else on anybody's minds? No.
No.
Not this week.
So just in terms of planning your schedules, we have next Monday, then we have the following Monday for annual town meeting. I think we'll probably meet at least once a month until we're done with all of the transfers. And usually that, I believe we have until like July, like 14th or something. It's basically like we have a couple weeks after July 1 to be able to vote on transfers. So, I'll try to give you a week or so in advance about when we need to meet. But otherwise, I will start to try to think about some things we might be able to do over the summer to kind of keep up the momentum, especially on capital planning. Other thing is people should think about like the structure of the committee next year, if somebody else wants to potentially serve as chair or whatever that may be. So we will revisit that in July, but I wanted to put that on people's radar. So because I want to make sure everybody's like learning and able to do whatever they would like to do. We have a lot of talented people here, so.
Do you know if there's any,
Go ahead.
Sorry, what?
do we know if there's any turnover expected in July? I think that might have been what Bob was about to ask. I don't know. I know everybody's on a 3-year term, but I don't know
Is
where
anybody-
everybody's terms were.
Do we have anybody with a term up this year?
I will have to look into that. I think there's a way to find it on the town's website, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think
So-
it's generally 2 people per year get re-upped one way or another.
Yeah, we should just check on that and make sure that those who are there, whether they wish to continue, and then we need to figure out if somebody doesn't, what's the gap that needs to be filled.
Sounds good. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right. I'm just going to assume
Second it.
everybody's in favor.
Hey, and Brian, I'm sorry I'm late. I was in the wrong Zoom meeting. I have several of them, and I'm sitting there all by myself twiddling my thumbs, and I realized I was in the wrong meeting.
No problem. Well, thank you all for your time. It's good to see you all.
Okay, thank you
Great.
all.
Thanks.
See you later.
Good night.
Take care.